In the opening scenes of Die Hard, John McClane gets his first look at Nakatomi Plaza, a 34-story building in LA's Century City neighborhood. Little does he know at the time, but he'll soon be trapped inside and forced to thwart a band of terrorists that have taken his wife and others hostage. This epic game of cat and mouse will require McClane to navigate through the building's offices, elevator shafts, roof, and even the air ducts to take out the criminals one by one. The building that stands in for Nakatomi Plaza is a real office building in LA known by its address at 2121 Avenue of the Stars. But during filming of the movie, it went by Fox Plaza, serving as the headquarters of 20th Century Fox. Now, what makes Fox Plaza unique as a setting is that the production looked to the building as inspiration for several moments in the film, making Fox Plaza more than a setting, like a supporting character. But Fox Plaza's unique history doesn't end with the movie Die Hard. Its road to silver screen stardom goes back further, involving vestiges of old Hollywood, a vision for a city of the future, and a legendary architect looking to cement his legacy with one final building, while also passing the torch to a new generation of architects. So let's explore the real Nakatomi Plaza, from office building to movie icon, here on All Things Architecture. I'm Steve, and
Welcome to the party, pal!
let's get started. Our story begins in the 1950s, and one of the legendary studios of old Hollywood. The site on what's now Fox Plaza was once the vast backlot of 20th Century Fox. For over 30 years, movies of all kinds were shot on this backlot, but by the 1950s, productions were few and far between. The rise of television had also brought financial strain onto the studio, leaving studio executives to tap the 170 acres worth of backlot for a new role. The studio hired the firm Welton Beckett and Associates to develop a master plan for the site. Beckett had designed some of LA's most notable landmarks, from the Pan Pacific Auditorium to the Capitol Records Building. Beckett envisioned an ambitious city within a city. The site would have everything someone would need to live, work, and play. To ease the financial burden off of 20th Century Fox, the studio brought on New York City developer William Zeckendorf in 1958. But the project was expensive even for Zeckendorf, and in 1960 he teamed up with the aluminum manufacturer Alcoa to help fund the project. In addition to the master plan, Beckett's firm also designed the first few buildings on the site: the Gateway East and West buildings in 1963, and the Century City Shopping Center in 1964. Later, several other architects would contribute to future expansions of the complex. Minoru Yamasaki designed the elegantly curved Century Plaza Hotel in 1966, and would later design the twin Century Plaza towers across the way. Other prominent architects included I.M. Pei, Cesar Pelle, and Robert Stern. As Century City flourished in the 1970s as a hub for business in LA, to the south, 20th Century Fox was yet again struggling financially. In 1981, the oil tycoon Marvin Davis came to the rescue with the hope of restoring the studio to its former glory. Part of this revitalization involved remaking the studio's image, from one of old Hollywood relic to modern blockbuster powerhouse. To do this, he wanted a new headquarters, a monument to the new 20th Century Fox. Its location would be up the hill from the existing studio on the main boulevard of Century City, the Avenue of the Stars. To design the tower, Davis turned to one of LA's architectural legends, William Pereira, an architect who got his start as an art director for theater and film and had gone on to design LAX, the LA County Museum of Art, and also the creator of the master plan for the city of Irvine in nearby Orange County. The commission came in 1983 and couldn't have come at a better time for the aging architect. His health was failing. His once charismatic personality that had once garnered such attention with potential clients had faded. His once futuristic architecture style now felt dated, and the doors to his firm were about to close from a lack of work. This new commission meant that Pereira could possibly breathe some new life into his firm, but he needed some help, and so he turned to an up-and-coming architect, Scott Johnson. Johnson would be leaving his high-profile position at Philip Johnson's office in New York to take the position at Pereira's. Along the way, Johnson brought his old Harvard friend Bill Fain to look after the management of the firm. With Pereira's new design team in place, they began working out what would become Fox Plaza. They knew that they couldn't design a traditional modernist building. After these initial design meetings, Pereira's presence at the firm began to fade, until on November 13, 1985, William Pereira died at 76, With their leader gone, Johnson led the charge of Fox Plaza. He decided to replicate the square footprint of a traditional tower and break it up, overlaying another square onto the plan, but rotating it 45 degrees, creating the illusion of two towers fused together. Then he cut away at the corners. The design not only caused the tower to stand out, but it appealed to the egos of the studio's C-suite executives by increasing the number of prestigious corner offices per floor from the typical 4 to 16. Construction began between 1985 and 1986. By 1987, the postmodern exterior of marble and glass was all but completed, but plenty of work was still needed on the inside. At the same time, a script was floating around 20th Century Fox. It was an adaptation of the 1979 novel Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorpe. The story was reworked, first by writer Jeb Stewart and later by Stephen D'Souza. Soon, the script was greenlit and pre-production was underway. When scouting a location for an office building to stand in for Nakatomi Plaza, the production team looked no further than Fox Plaza. After settling on the almost finished building, Stephen D'Souza got to work punching up the script and used the building's actual working drawings to examine ways John McClane could theoretically make it from one place to another in the tower. He also took tours of the building at night, examining unbuilt floors and the tools left over as inspiration for the film's action-packed fight scenes. In reworking parts of the film's climax, D'Souza saw an issue in the story. How could John McClane get off the roof when it explodes and make it back into the building? Again, on one of those evening strolls through the building, he spotted a fire hose on the roof near the edge of the building. Inspiration struck, and in the finished film, Bruce Willis's John McClane is seen leaping off the building, wrapped in a fire hose, going through a window and landing back into the building. Filming took place in the summer of 1987. Most of the building's lower floors already had tenants, with the production having full range of the upper floors. Well, almost full range. The constant sound of gunfire caused neighbors to complain, leaving the production a set time when filming could take place. During production, Fox Plaza was tested as an actor, and even it needed a stunt double from time to time. For the explosions and climactic helicopter crash into the building, a stunt double of sorts was built. Using the building's working drawings, the special effects artists created a scaled-down version of the tower. The result was a model 25 feet tall that was so convincing that it's hard to tell it's a model. And the architectural Easter eggs in Die Hard don't stop with Fox Plaza. Interestingly, there's a lot of references to Frank Lloyd Wright in the movie. This was because the film's producer, Joel Silver, was obsessed with Frank Lloyd Wright. In 1981, Silver had purchased Wright's Stower House, and during the production of Die Hard, he was in the process of restoring Wright's Aldbrass plantation in South Carolina, and Silver even owned a few of Wright's old cars. The film's production designer, Jackson DeGova, knew of Silver's appreciation for the architect and incorporated some more details throughout the film. The biggest and most expensive was the set of the atrium in Nakatomi's office, with columns made of what looks like Pottsville sandstone, the same stone used at Wright's Fallingwater house. The angular layout of the atrium was also inspired by Wright's floor plans. This choice is fitting within the context of the film. Wright's architectural inspiration came from traditional Japanese architecture, and Nakatomi is a Japanese company, so there's this subtle connection of East meets West. Now this one's a bit of a deep cut, but in the office of Joseph Takagi, Hans Gruber is seen walking by and even references a model of a bridge that, in the film, is a project in Indonesia. But it's actually a design intended for San Francisco. It was called the Butterfly Bridge and was proposed by Wright in the 1940s. He created a model that was displayed in San Francisco to help drum up support, the same model that's seen in the film. According to DeGova, upon seeing an image of the model in a book, he called up Taliesin and had the model shipped from Arizona to Los Angeles for shooting. As for the design of the bridge, it was unfortunately never built. But it lives on in Die Hard. And the final reference to Wright in the film is found on the name of the television station, which is abbreviated to FLW, Wright's initials. When filming wrapped, Fox Plaza was enlisted again on promotional material. Once Die Hard became a box office success, Fox Plaza saw another success in the form of leases. When the building was completed, it commanded the highest commercial leases in Los Angeles at the time. And it served as the office of former President Ronald Reagan following his time after the White House. The exposure of the tower in the film also helped launch the careers of its architects, Scott Johnson and Bill Fain, who transformed Pereira's firm into their own and have continued to design buildings in both Century City and around the world. What all this shows is that architecture plays an important role, both in our lives and our favorite movies. So the next time you're in LA, tell Argyle to head on over to Century City, put on some Christmas in Hollis, and give a yippee-ki-yay to Fox Plaza, forever known to fans as Nakatomi Plaza. Thanks for watching. For more stories from the world of architecture, consider subscribing and watching some of our other videos. I'm Steve, and I'll see you next time with another edition of All Things Architecture, where every building has a story.